So I just have not very heavy weight on here, and I'm just holding this at my shoulder. And the pulley's set at about waist height. And then I'm going to tip a little to the side and then pull myself back up. So I come to the side, pull myself up, and I even go a little bit beyond. So this is a way that I like to work the groin muscles, the adductors, and it's just called a towel drag. So all I have is a cleaning rag here and a 5-pound dumbbell sitting on it. We don't usually get heavy. We will get up to as much as 20 pounds, but we don't really try to overload this a lot. So I have the weight on the towel, putting my foot on the towel. I'm going to take a step and then bring this leg in so my feet are together. Then I take my next step and pull it along. I kind of like it because I have to be putting pressure down and in at the same time, kind of the same way I would have to if I was doing a crossover. So that's one of the benefits of the exercise. I think it hits the muscle a little differently than just the cable adduction. So maybe even try alternating, using one week and the other one the next week. We're going to do a cable adduction, and the thing I want you to keep in mind is that you don't just have one adductor, you have several, and they work when your leg is in different positions. So we're not going to just bring our feet together and work one area of the adductor. What we're going to do is we're going to bring our heel to our toe, keeping our foot pointed straight ahead, and then bring our toe to our heel. So we're coming in front, then we're all the way out to the side to get a little stretch, and then we're coming to the back. So a couple things. Work your way up so that you can do it just balanced, because then your other leg is really working to stabilize, so you get a double benefit as opposed to holding on to something and stabilizing that way. Try to keep your hips level, so don't let your body tilt as you go, because then again, you're really not getting this leg to do the work, you're using your other leg to help out. Finally, keep your foot pointed straight ahead, get a nice range of motion. But I'm going to get in my low skating position. I'm going to come from outside, so like the finish of a stride, coming and then pushing right underneath. So I don't want to stop here. I want to actually use my groin muscles to push underneath. I just have my toe on a towel so that it slides nicely. I'm not putting any pressure on that. And then I also want you to have the hip stability, that this knee stays pointing straight ahead. It's not falling in as you cross under. The big thing to remember is you're going to take a double hip width stance. You're going to shift your hips, shoulders, so they're in line with your knee and ankle, the side you're going to. If your stance is too wide, your hip and shoulder won't get over your ankle. If your stance is too narrow, your hips will get outside. Reach back with your rear end, keeping this foot flat on the ground, and the trailing leg nice and straight so that you get good stretch through that groin. Lunge lateral to balance. You can hold dumbbells just at shoulder height, but it's just going to be a step lateral. Your hips, shoulders will get over that outside foot, and then you'll push off, coming back up to a balanced position, drive down, push off to a balanced position. So it's dynamic, down and up. You're getting a nice stretch through your groins, teaching them to be stable in a lengthened position on that outside leg, and finding that perfect point of balance after a nice powerful lateral push. Here's another exercise I think is tremendous specifically for goalies. It's called the sumo squat. Again, you could hold the dumbbells here. My preference is probably that you hold them up here. Your feet are double hip width, slightly wider. Your toes are just a little bit pointed out. And you're going to squat down. And as you squat down, you're going to push your knees out. So you're actually going to use your glutes to pull your knees out. You're going to come down until this makes a straight line, as long as you have the range of motion to do that safely for you. But you should feel a little stretch in through here. So again, your bum goes back, your knees go out, your chest stays up. Always keeping the knees out, so I don't want your knees pinching in like that. Let me show you what it should look like from the side. This is a squat lateral with our foot elevated. So in this case, I'm going to show you with my foot on the ball, but you could also do it just with your foot on the bench. So this is a 55 centimeter ball. I'm going to have the dumbbells at shoulder height. And then just like any other squat, I initiate by sitting back in my hips. I want to keep my shoulder, hip, knee, and ankle all in a straight line. And I only go down as far as I comfortably can. So I only go down until I feel a little stretch in this groin. It's going to be less range of motion than you would typically get in a squat lateral where your foot's on the ground. But again, we just want to get those adductors accustomed to lengthening under tension. It's never going to be a heavy exercise. That's why it's sort of in this earlier phase of training. But again, just trying to get that nice adaptation to reduce your risk of groin strains in the season. Call this a glider squat lateral, and I'm just using a little glider disc. You don't need this. You could just put your foot on a towel, anything that will slide on the surface. My preference is that you hold the dumbbells at shoulder height. You're going to keep all your weight over this leg. So you're not going to open up like this at all. That's going to be really stressful on your groins. You're going to keep all the weight on this leg, and then this is just very, very light feather pressure. So I'm sitting back in my hips, opening up those hips. Let me show you what it looks like from the side. Keeping my hip, knee, and ankle stacked. The heel on this foot stays down in contact with the ground the entire time. This is an eccentric half butterfly. So it's eccentric, it's just the lowering portion. So if I'm here, I'm going to come out slowly as I can to get that stretch. Then I'll put my hands down and I'll bring myself back up. Coming out slowly, slowly, slowly. I'm on a wood floor. Any smooth floor will do. And I've just put my foot on a towel so it slides. But slow, slow, slow. Keeping tension here so we're learning to control that range that you have. Don't just try to do a full splits. This is a low hip shift with a plate push. And this is just a 10-pound plate. But I'm staying low. I'm not coming up and over each time. I'm just staying low. Let me show you from the side. My chest is staying up. My hips are staying down. And I'm pushing when I'm over my ankle. So for this kneeling groin stretch, you're in sort of a frog position. And you're going to sit back to feel a nice stretch, keeping your neutral back position. And then you're going to hold that for the required amount of time. Then the next thing you're going to do is gradually, really slowly, start to push pressure with your knees into the floor. So building pressure, up to sort of a max isometric contraction. Gradually building pressure though, don't just crank it on. So I'm trying to pull my knees together, really, is what I'm doing. Then the next thing I'm going to do is try to pull my knees further apart. So using the muscles on the outside of my hip, I'm going to try to pull my knees further apart, sink down lower into the stretch, but actively, not just with gravity. I'm trying to pull myself down there, but slowly, gradually build that tension. And then I'll stop and just hold the stretch, sort of in a relaxed stretch position.